Right, Neil. How are you? Excited to talk to a very interesting guest.
Absolutely. Our guest today is Joshua Zedimer. He's a film and TV screenwriter. He also was involved in Patriots Day about the Boston Marathon bombings and much, much more. Did a lot of different things. Joshua, we're going to talk today about Say Nothing on FX and Hulu. Joshua, thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And I like this background that's happening.
Yeah, which one? I guess. Well, Greg's. You like the grotto. I think you need to go
I'm
visit
into
it.
the grotto. I'm feeling the grotto. I'm not sure what's going on with the grotto, but I like it.
Yes, because he's in Boston. So Greg has a Boston question to start out. Go ahead, Greg.
I do. Yeah. So that's the grotto. That's in my house. So it sold the house to me for sure. Beautiful room.
Nice.
Um,
Nice.
yeah. So being in Boston, Josh, I just want to ask you about Patriots Day. I mean, that was such a tragedy. What was your process in balancing the fact and fiction in such a sensitive story?
Absolutely. Yeah. And to be fair, I worked on that project for a short amount of time, so I don't feel like a real feeling of authorship over it. But I can tell you that my process as one of the writers on the film was that I got involved with the FBI and talked to a lot of law enforcement in Boston, both police and FBI who were there. And that was really the process that connected the dots for me, that allowed me to sort of open up the story and think about the sort of people who were at the center of it. It was a unique experience because it was really like through the use of consultants, frankly, that I was able to tell the story. And I spoke to, I don't know, 7 different FBI agents to write the script, and then started writing just as fast as I could. They had an incredibly vivid story to tell, and some of the key scenes in the film are actually like straight out of the mouths of FBI agents.
Wow. And I think this experience you had, and that's really had a lot to help you in the process with Say Nothing, right? In a way, because of looking at specifically types of crime and things like that from the experience of you being involved in some of your other projects. Wouldn't you agree?
I would say that for me, authenticity is very, very important. I think for Patriots Day, it was talking to police and FBI, and for Say Nothing, it was a years long research process, just like diving into the troubles and the history of the conflict in Northern Ireland. As you can tell from my voice, I am not. I'm from California, so my life just could not be further away from the lives of the characters in the series, and that just meant an immense amount of research and respect and sensitivity when bringing this story to life. And honestly, it's a 5-year process making this show. So it was I really just put everything I could into it.
Wow. Did your experience like writing RoboCop and other action adventures influence, how you told the story in
I think certainly for me, propulsiveness is key. I think I like stories that are very kinetic. I think with Say Nothing, it was trying to capture the energy of youth, the exuberance of youth, this idea of like, we're going to get under the skin of this kid who is joining the IRA, who's joining a violent movement, frankly, and get and sort of show you what that feels like in all of its exuberance. And then you follow that person over 30 years, and then calculus changes, and of course when they hit middle age, they look back on the events and the choices they made as kids with a good deal of disillusionment, frankly. But you're sort of seeing both the romance of radical politics and also the cost of those politics. And so I think certainly writing action movies meant that the scripts were jam-packed. They were like, the second episode has four different pieces in it that you could call like action pieces. And I think, I mean, not to do too deep a dive, but I grew up with intense ADHD. My parents were therapists, and I was just bouncing off the walls as a kid. And I'm a believer that like people's strength is often their weakness. And even if I couldn't sit still, it meant that like when it came to being a storyteller, I just wanted the story to go. I just wanted it to move fast. I get bored incredibly easily. And I think part of that, I'm now 42 or 43. I can't remember. And, you know, I still have this feeling of just really wanting things to move. And I sort of like try to get the mental health stuff under control. But at the same time, I think it's impacted my writing in a really positive way because it means this story is like, frankly, just fast paced and exciting.
This is an adaptation of the New York Times best-selling, award-winning book. So it really gives you the opportunity. You already have a built-in audience of people who enjoyed the book. That has to help. The second thing that helps is specifically this kind of conflict is kind of dealing with the same thing, the Israeli-Palestine conflict at the time, that basically Ireland and the British just did not get along, especially Catholics and Protestants at that time period, right?
Yeah, I mean, certainly like the history of Israel is obviously like there's a British component there. And I think if you look at the legacies, like of course there are parallels, but at the same time, the series does not want to draw any easy conclusions or say that like one side represents X. I think the thing that I would rather do is leave the audience with questions rather than like easy answers. You know, one of those questions, which I do think resonates in a lot of present day political conflicts, is just this question of how far would you be prepared to go for your beliefs? And that's something that the characters, Dullars and Marion Price, are grappling with. And whether you think what they're doing is good or whether you think it's monstrous as members of the IRA, I think that question feels worth exploring to me.
All right, Greg. Greg, you have your final question. You'll ask it, and we'll find out where we can find information on you, Joshua, and watch Say Nothing. But go ahead, Greg.
Great. All right. So thank you. This has been great. Can I slip in one quick question?
Yeah, sure. One more.
As you were just talking about the IRA. And so, Josh, how did you sensitively portray the IRA members' personal lives while staying true to the actual events?
I mean, I think I tried to do a ton of homework. I tried to listen to people, right? If I had Irish cast members, a lot of our cast is from Belfast. So I really tried to listen to what people had to say. I did my own interviews. And then I also tried to use, I didn't want the filmmaking to be exploitational. Do you know what I mean? Like there's certain tricks that filmmakers can do to make a scene sensationalized, right? Even if it's like music and sound, if the music was too heavy, if the sound was too heavy, if the cameras were like, if we were doing a sensitive scene, right, and that involved real people and something that just felt politically sensitive, and the camera's like doing hard zoom ins, right? Like a fast push in or something that just felt like the language of exploitational cinema, I would just get it out of there. I wanted to deliver the story in a way that felt straightforward, but that got you under the skin of the characters so that you understood their emotional journeys. And that was my only goal. Beyond that, I don't want to sensationalize, and I just wanted to be as sensitive as I could. And if there was something that felt sensitive, I also didn't stray from the facts. I really tried to just.
All right. Oh, perfect.
What happened?
All right. So, Greg, quick question. You ask it in 30 seconds, answer it. See if Josh can do it. Go ahead, Greg.
He can do it. I know he can. So, Josh, thanks so much. I always ask celebrity guests this question. Tell us, what do you feel is the most important thing in life you've ever learned?
I think I said it. Your weakness can be turned into a strength. I think that's it.
Love it. That was a great fast answer. Joshua, we can check out on FX and also Hulu, Say Nothing. And it premieres what date?
It's out. It is dropped on Hulu. It's an FX show, but it's not an FX proper. It's streaming on Hulu now, and we really hope you watch. I'm prouder of this than anything I've ever done. I really think it's a great show.